There is no doubt I am excited about what's going on with Iron Man. And maybe, I'm not saying that this is what's going to happen. I'm not saying this is a guarantee, but maybe Marvel will claw their way back to really solid comic books, starting with Iron Man. And wouldn't that be apropos? Just like the MCU was really stabilized by Iron Man. I wouldn't say it was started by Iron Man. And the reason I say that, if you go back to the late 90s and go to Blade, you could really say that was the true beginning of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. That, for me personally, that was the first blockbuster Marvel movie. Blade was just amazing in every way. So maybe this is exactly what Marvel does, coming back with the comic books, or bringing the comic books back to prominence with Iron Man. Anyway, I wanted to get into this article right here. More news. As I said, I like that Iron Man comic book by Joshua Williamson. It was just stable. The best way I can describe that book is, if you're going into reading a comic book and you have that itch for just something solid. It doesn't have to blow your socks off, but it has to be solid. It does that. And I will say, because I gave it a 10 out of 10, I will say it does that in such a good fashion that it kind of does blow your socks off, because it's just good, fun comic book reading with the right amount of action, right amount of story, and you just enjoy your ride all the way through. Anyway, Spider-Man and Iron Man team up in Iron Man #6. Now, I will say Marvel is doing thus far, whoever they have marketing, they seem to be taking a page out of what they're doing with Doomsday with this Iron Man book, because Avengers Doomsday is everywhere. You can't go anywhere and not hear something about Avengers Doomsday. Everywhere you go, people are talking about it. And it seems like this is the approach Marvel is taking with this Iron Man book. They're trying to make sure that this stays in the psyche of comic book readers, constantly bringing stuff up. I mean, issue 1 just came out. Issue 2 is not out yet. And they're already talking about issue #6. So getting you excited for what they're building up to, kind of in a way, letting you know right out the gate, we're not going to let you down. We're not going to leave you without giving you and bringing you some good characters with Iron Man. Anyway, New York, February 17, 2026. Joshua Williamson and Carmen Carnero. New run of Iron Man is a certified hit. The debut issue arrived last month to critical acclaim and will return next month with a much demanded second printing. Today's fans can peek ahead with the reveal of issue 6, which is crazy. You're skipping issue 2, jumping directly to issue 6, on sale in May, featuring art by guest artist Juann Cabal. I'll have to look him up because I don't know much about him. The issue will guest star Spider-Man and Norman Osborn. So that really has piqued my interest as far as where they're going with this. Why is Spider-Man in this book? What interaction does Iron Man have with Spider-Man? And how does this tie in with the current running Spider-Man books? Praise for delivering a back to basics approach while also planting seeds for a riveting future. Iron Man #1 ended with a startling cliffhanger. And I will say, I agree with that. The back to the basics approach, that was pretty much, that's what I was trying to say without saying it. I might have even said back to basics, but this book doesn't overdo it, trying to do too much. It just goes back to, hey, comic books, thrilling, exciting, cliffhangers, and action. I'm here for it with decent art. More than decent art. I will say more than decent art. Carmen Carnero did a fantastic job. As Tony raced to confront AIM for stolen tech, Captain America hosted an eclectic group, warning them to keep a watchful eye on Tony's recent actions. Among the familiar faces were fellow heroes like Captain Marvel, lifelong best friends like War Machine, and former adversary Norman Osborn. So they're definitely building up to something greater than just one-off comic, which it doesn't feel like an overall like a huge event, but it just feels like a connected story, which I like. That's the classic comic book storytelling. You just tell a good story. It may or may not be connected to the next book, but the overarching story is all interconnected. And I really like that. That, like I said, that back to basics approach, just as the article pointed out. Norman and Tony's bitter rivalry defined Marvel's Dark Reign era, where Norman led the Dark Avengers and S.H.I.E.L.D. as Iron Patriot. Now, he struggles to find redemption in the pages of Joe Kelly, John Romita Jr., and Pepe Larraz's Amazing Spider-Man. Can Spider-Man prevent Norman's old feud from resurfacing, and will Tony cause Norman to permanently slip back into his old ways? In addition to Ryan Stegman's main cover, Iron Man number 6 will feature stunning variant covers, including a special foil cover by Salvador Larroca, and homage to Larroca's Invincible Iron Man 2008 number 7 cover during his run on the title with Matt Fraction, and the latest in Todd Nauck's ironic series spotlighting the Iron Patriot armor, which makes a comeback in this story. Yeah, I like foil covers. Whenever I see like some of those throwback books Marvel will, put out again with foil covers, I always buy them. So I guess you can say they really do serve their purpose of bringing you back into the fold, or bringing some money out of your pocket to purchase this new book. You can call it a money grab. It probably is a money grab, but I don't mind it. This is a money grab that I don't mind at all. Spider-Man must save Norman Osborn from Iron Man. Tony Stark and Norman Osborn have history. They've known each other longer than you might know. And when the Iron Patriot armor is stolen, all signs point toward the former Green Goblin. Only problem is Iron Man has only one little tiny thing standing in his way to take down Norman: the amazing, spectacular, friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. So Spider-Man obviously is going to intervene in this feud, which I'm curious to see exactly how this feud unfolds. The response to our new Iron Man series has been tremendous and inspiring, Williamson shared. It's great to see Marvel readers embrace our take on the armored Avenger, and we're just getting started. Iron Man number 6 is the first of our Iron Man team-up issues and follow-up on the Norman Osborn tease from the first issue cover. I've always been fascinated by the rivalry between Tony and Norman, and how in a different world they could have been allies or maybe even friends, he continued. But Tony doesn't trust that Norman has turned to the side of the Angels, which puts them into conflict. With Spider-Man caught in the middle, this is my first time writing the wall crawler, and it's been a dream come true. But it's not all fun and games. This issue will be key to the future of Iron Man. And it's good to see how Joshua Williamson talks about Iron Man. I've seen or read a couple interviews where he had some things to say, and he was really excited to bring his fan enthusiasm to Iron Man. And I can tell when I read that first book, he was definitely enthusiastic about writing a traditional, like the article said, back to basics, grounded Iron Man story with influence from Robert Downey Jr.'s portrayal of Tony Stark. So this is something I'm looking forward to.